The sound hit first. A sickening crack that echoed through Preston High's cafeteria like thunder. Then came the collective gasp of 300 students as Derek Thompson's body went airborne. His perfectly styled hair whipping backward, his varsity jacket fluttering like broken wings. Time seemed to freeze as the most feared bully in school flew through the air. Launched by a single devastating kick from the new girl nobody knew existed 5 minutes ago. Madison Brooks stood there, one leg still extended in perfect form, her thrift store sneaker pointing where Derek's jaw used to be. The cafeteria erupted. Phones appeared like weapons drawn in battle. Someone screamed. Someone else laughed, but Madison just lowered her foot slowly, picked up her torn backpack, and said 4 words that would soon be viewed 50 million times. "Good boys, stay down." 5 days earlier, Madison had walked into Preston High School invisible. Another transfer student in October. Another face in the crowd. She chose the corner table in the cafeteria, the one by the emergency exit where the overhead light flickered. Nobody sat there. Perfect. If you're feeling that rush of what's going to happen next, hit that like button. It really helps more people discover these stories. And if you want to share where you're watching from, drop it in the comments below. For those who want to support more stories like this one, there's a thanks button right under this video. Every contribution, no matter how small, helps me bring you more inspiring tales of courage and standing up for what's right. Thank you for being here. Now, let's see what happens when push comes to shove. She unwrapped her peanut butter sandwich, the same lunch she'd eaten for 3 weeks straight since her dad lost his job. Around her, Preston High gleamed with wealth. Designer backpacks worth more than her family's monthly groceries. Cars in the student lot that cost more than her old house. The house they'd lost. "Check out thrift shop," someone whispered. Madison didn't look up. She'd learned that lesson at her last school, and the school before that, and the one before that. 4 schools in 2 years, each move cheaper than the last, each cafeteria lonelier. She took a bite, chewed slowly, and that's when the lacrosse ball came flying. It whistled past her ear, missing by inches, slamming into the wall behind her. Pure instinct made her duck and roll her shoulder. A movement so fluid, it looked choreographed. The ball bounced back, and she caught it one-handed without looking up from her sandwich. The cafeteria went quiet for exactly 2 seconds. "Yo, new girl's got reflexes," someone said. Madison set the ball on the table and went back to eating. But across the cafeteria, Derek Thompson leaned forward in his throne. Yes, throne. The center table had been modified with actual armrests, elevated slightly on wooden blocks somebody's shop class had made. King of Preston High, surveying his domain. "You see that?" "Brandon," Derek asked his enforcer. A 200-pound wrestler whose neck was wider than Madison's waist. "Lucky duck," Brandon grunted. "Luck." Derek's eyes narrowed. "Nah, that was training." He smiled, and it was the smile of a predator recognizing prey that might actually be fun to hunt. "What's her story?" Skylar Mitchell, Preston's self-appointed social media queen, already had her phone out. "Madison Brooks, transferred from Riverside, lives in Copper Creek Apartments." "Copper Creek?" Derek laughed. "That's Section 8 housing. Her dad got laid off from the Ford plant," Skylar continued, scrolling through her illegally accessed student records. "Free lunch program. No extracurriculars listed. No friends, no protection, no money." Derek's smile widened. "Perfect." Madison finished her sandwich, crumpled the bag, and stood to leave. as she walked past their table. Derek stuck his foot out. Another test. Madison stepped over it without breaking stride. But Derek saw what he wanted to see. The slight adjustment in her balance. The way her hands stayed loose at her sides. The micro pause before choosing to avoid rather than engage. "Oh yeah," he whispered to Brandon. "She's trained in something." The worst part about being the new kid wasn't the loneliness. Madison had made peace with that. It wasn't the stares or whispers or the way teachers always mispronounced her last name on the first day. The worst part was knowing that eventually, inevitably, someone would test her at Jackson Middle. It had been 3 girls who thought her silence meant weakness. Madison had broken one's nose before the teachers pulled her off. Expelled. At Riverside High. It had been a senior boy who cornered her after gym class. She dislocated his shoulder in 2 moves. Expelled again. Control. Her sensei had taught her when she was 12, back when her parents could still afford the dojo fees. True strength is knowing when not to use it. But sensei had never been the new kid at a rich school where money could buy immunity, and violence came wrapped in designer clothes. Madison's scarred knuckles told a different story than her quiet demeanor suggested. 4 years of mixed martial arts training. Not for sport or trophies, but because her father had grown up rough and wanted his daughter prepared. "The world ain't kind to poor girls," he'd said, wrapping her hands for the first time. "But it respects the ones who can fight back." Now those same hands trembled slightly as she opened her locker Tuesday morning. Not from fear, from the effort of staying controlled. "Hey, new girl." Madison didn't turn. She knew that tone, knew what came next. "I'm talking to you, Salvation Army." The hallway crowd parted like the Red Sea. Derek Thompson didn't walk through Preston High. He prowled. 6'2" of athletic privilege, with the kind of symmetric features that made teachers forgive tardiness and girls forgive cruelty. His lacrosse jersey hung perfectly on shoulders built by private trainers and protein shakes that cost more than Madison's lunch money for a month. "I think you have something of mine," Derek said, voice carrying enough to ensure maximum audience. Madison finally turned. "I don't know you. That ball yesterday, my ball. You touched it. That means you owe me." The logic was absurd. The threat was clear. Around them, students pressed closer while pretending not to watch. Someone already had their phone out. "Here's how this works," Derek continued, stepping closer. His cologne probably cost $100. It smelled like entitlement. "You're new, so I'll explain the food chain. I'm at the top. He looked her up and down, taking in the second-hand jeans, the faded Phoenix Suns t-shirt, the sneakers held together with super glue. "You're not even on it." "Okay," Madison said, turning back to her locker. The crowd made a collective sound of surprise. Nobody turned their back on Derek Thompson. His hand slammed against the locker beside her head. "Did I say we were done?" Madison stared at his manicured fingers. Her father's hands had calluses from 16 years at the plant. These hands had never worked for anything. "Move your hand." "Or what?" The hallway held its breath. Madison could feel the violence rippling just under her skin, begging for release. One elbow to his solar plexus. He'd drop, probably piss himself. The thought made her smile. Derek mistook that smile for submission. "That's better. See you at lunch. New girl? We're gonna have fun." He walked away. Brandon and 2 other lacrosse players flanking him like Secret Service. The crowd dispersed, disappointed by the lack of immediate action. But Skylar lingered, her phone still recording. "Free advice," she said. Voice lowered. Transfer out. Now. Can't, Madison replied. Then pray, because Derek just marked you. And once he marks someone… Skylar trailed off, but her eyes finished the sentence. Madison closed her locker. He can try. By Wednesday, the hunting pattern was established. Derek's crew would accidentally bump into Madison between classes. Her books would get knocked down. Sorry, didn't see you there. Her backpack would mysteriously move tables during lunch. Oops, thought it was mine. Each incident carefully calibrated to humiliate without leaving evidence. Madison endured it all with a silence that seemed to frustrate Derek more than tears would have. She'd pick up her books, find her backpack, sit alone, eat her sandwich, leave. She's weird, Brandon complained Thursday morning. Like robot weird. She don't even flinch. She's scared, Derek corrected, though doubt crept into his voice. Trust me, they always break. We just haven't found her button yet. But Derek was wrong. Madison wasn't scared. She was counting the exits, counting the cameras, counting how many steps it would take to reach Derek's throat if needed. Her sensei had taught her to visualize violence before it happened, to plan every strike, every counter, every ending. In her mind, she'd already beaten Derek Thompson 17 different ways. The problem was what came after. Another expulsion, another move, another school where her father would have to explain why his daughter kept getting kicked out. He'd never blame her, never raise his voice. But she'd see the disappointment, the worry, the bills piling up and opportunities disappearing. So Madison counted and stayed quiet. But Preston High had a way of breaking quiet girls. Friday arrived with unusual energy. Game day. The lacrosse team wore their jerseys like armor, strutting through hallways they owned by birthright. Derek's throne in the cafeteria had been decorated with ribbons in school colors. Someone had even made a crown out of lacrosse sticks. Madison took her usual corner seat and unwrapped her sandwich. Same peanut butter, same careful bites, same invisible girl routine that had kept her safe for 4 days. She should have known it was too easy. Ladies and gentlemen, Derek's voice boomed across the cafeteria. He was standing on his throne, arms spread like a gladiator. Your attention, please. The room quieted. Teachers on lunch duty looked over but didn't intervene. They never did when Derek performed. As you know, Preston High has certain traditions, Derek continued, and one of our favorites is welcoming new students properly. Madison's jaw tightened. Here it comes. Madison Brooks, would you please join us in the center? 300 faces turned toward her corner. Madison stayed seated. Come on, don't be shy. Derek's voice dripped false friendliness. Brandon, help our new friend find her courage. Brandon was already moving, his bulk casting a shadow over Madison's table. Derek asked nice, he said. Don't make him ask not nice. Madison looked up at Brandon, then at the emergency exit 10 feet away. She could make it. Probably. But running meant they'd won. Running meant starting over somewhere else. And her family had no more somewhere else's left. She stood. The cafeteria erupted in whispers and phone cameras. Madison walked to the center, each step measured. Hands loose. Breathing controlled. The crowd formed a circle around her and Derek, ancient Colosseum instincts taking over. There she is! Derek hopped down from his throne with athletic grace. Madison Brooks, Riverside High transfer, Copper Creek resident, free lunch recipient. Each detail landed like a slap. Madison stayed silent. But here's what's really interesting. Derek continued, circling her slowly. Little Madison here has been holding out on us. See, I did some research. Turns out our thrift shop princess has a secret. Madison's pulse quickened. How could he know? Derek smiled at her reaction. 4 years at Chen's Mixed Martial Arts Academy. Junior Division champion 2 years running. Until Daddy couldn't pay the fees anymore. The crowd reacted with a mix of surprise and excitement. An MMA fighter. This just got interesting. So here's my question. Derek stopped directly in front of her. If you're such a badass, why you been taking our shit all week? Madison met his eyes. Because I don't fight children. The crowd went, ooh! Brandon stepped forward, but Derek held up a hand, his face flushing red. Children, bitch. I own this school. My father owns half this town. You're nothing. Less than nothing. You're a charity case whose daddy couldn't hold a job. At least my daddy worked for what he had, Madison said quietly. Derek's composure cracked. Nobody talked back. Nobody ever talked back. You know what? I was gonna go easy on you. Just a little fun. But now, he nodded to Brandon and 2 other players. Now, you're gonna learn your place. They formed a triangle around her. The crowd pressed closer. Phones held high. Everyone sensing this was different from Derek's usual performances. This had an edge to it. A darkness. Here's what's gonna happen, Derek announced. Madison here is gonna get on her hands and knees and bark like a dog. Then she's gonna crawl around and fetch things for us. And if she does a good job, maybe we'll let her eat lunch with the humans Monday. No, Madison said. No, Derek laughed. You see an option here. You see a way out. Look around, bitch. This is my world. You're just visiting. He was right. The teachers were conveniently absent. The exits were blocked. The crowd was hungry for a show. In a fair fight. Madison could take Derek easily. But this wasn't about fair. This was about power. And he held all of it. I'll make it simple. Derek pulled out his phone. You got 10 seconds to drop. Or Brandon here is gonna help you down. And trust me, he ain't gentle. 10, 9. Madison's mind raced through options. Every scenario ended badly. Fight back. Get expelled. Family suffers. Submit. Get humiliated. But survive to transfer another day. Her father's words echoed, sometimes you gotta eat shit to keep food on the table. 5, 4. She could see Skylar live streaming in the corner. Could imagine the comments already rolling in. Could feel 300 students holding their breath. 2, 1. Madison dropped to her knees. The cafeteria exploded. Cheers, gasps, nervous laughter. Derek's smile could have lit up the whole school. Good girl, see how easy that was. Madison stared at the floor. Industrial tile, probably installed in the 90s. Scuffed from thousands of feet. Stained from countless spills. She focused on those details to avoid thinking about what came next. Now crawl, Derek commanded. Circle around me. Show everyone what a good dog you are. Madison placed her palms on the cold tile and began to move. One hand forward. One knee. Other hand. Other knee. The rhythm of humiliation. Around her, phones captured every moment. Someone started chanting, dog, dog, dog. Others joined in. Faster. Derek kicked her backpack across the floor. Fetch. Madison crawled toward it. Her father had crawled like this once. She remembered. Under houses. Fixing pipes when the plant cut his hours. Coming home covered in mud and worse. but proud he'd earned $40 to keep the lights on. There was no shame in survival. But this was different. This was cruelty for sport. "Now bark," Derek commanded. "Let's hear it." Madison stopped crawling. Her hands were trembling now, but not from exhaustion. I said, "Bark." She looked up at him. Really looked. Saw the small boy behind the lacrosse armor. Saw the fear dressed up as power. Saw the desperate need to break things because something in him was already broken. "Woof," she said flatly. The crowd laughed, but nervously. Something in Madison's eyes made them uncomfortable. "Louder," Derek's voice cracked slightly. "Like you mean it. Woof, woof, woof." Each bark more sarcastic than the last. Derek's face went red. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. She was supposed to cry, beg, break. Not stare at him with those calm, knowing eyes. "Get her up!" He snapped at Brandon. "Bro, maybe we should... Get her up!" Brandon grabbed Madison's arm, hauling her to her feet. Derek stepped close. Close enough that she could see the vein pulsing in his temple. "You think you're tough. You think you're better than me." "I think you're scared," Madison said quietly. "Scared that Daddy's money can't buy you a personality. Scared that without your boys, you're just another pretty face with nothing behind it. Scared that deep down, everyone knows you're empty." The cafeteria went dead silent. Even the phones seemed to stop recording. Derek's fist clenched. "Hold her." Brandon hesitated. "Derek, man, there's cameras." I said hold her. Two players grabbed Madison's arms. She didn't resist. Didn't need to. She was counting again. Distance, angle, force, required. Her body coiled like a spring. Waiting. Derek raised his fist. "Last chance. Apologize. Beg. Or I break that pretty nose." Madison smiled. A real smile this time. "My sensei taught me something. Control until control means death. You want to hit me? Go ahead, but you better kill me. Because if you don't, I'm going to show everyone what you really are. A scared little boy who needs his daddy's money and his friends' muscles to feel big." Derek snapped. His fist flew forward. Madison moved. What happened next took exactly 3.7 seconds, but would be watched in slow motion millions of times. Madison twisted her shoulders, using the players holding her as anchors. Her right leg swept up in a perfect arc, heel rotating with devastating precision. The timing was flawless. The technique was beautiful. The impact was brutal. Her heel caught Derek's jaw at the perfect angle, snapping his head back with enough force to lift him completely off the ground. His body went horizontal in the air. Arms spread like he was making a snow angel in reverse. The sound of connection echoed through the cafeteria. Crack, then silence. Then Derek hit the ground. Then pandemonium. The players holding Madison let go in shock. She landed on her feet, perfectly balanced, and calmly walked over to her backpack. Derek lay on the floor, conscious but stunned, blood trickling from his mouth. The entire cafeteria was frozen, like someone had hit pause on reality. Madison picked up her backpack, looked down at Derek, and delivered the line that would become legend, "Good boys, stay down." Then she walked out the emergency exit, leaving behind 300 witnesses, 50 different phone videos, and one very broken king. The cafeteria stayed silent for exactly 5 more seconds. Then someone whispered, "Holy shit." Then someone else, louder, "Did you see that?" Then everyone at once. Oh my God, did you get that? Do you record it? Send it to me. Post it now. Skylar's live stream showed 8,000 viewers and climbing. Her hands shook as she zoomed in on Derek, still on the ground, Brandon kneeling beside him. Guys, I can't even, this just happened. The new girl she just destroyed Derek Thompson. One kick. He's down. He's bleeding. Oh my God. Security's coming. But security was too late. As always, by the time 3 guards burst through the doors, Madison was gone. Derek was sitting up spitting blood. And every student in Preston High was uploading, sharing, commenting, and spreading the video like wildfire. "Clear out everyone back to class," the head of security shouted. But nobody moved. This was history. This was content. This was the moment Preston High's perfect facade cracked wide open. Brandon helped Derek to his feet. The king's crown was broken. Literally. The lacrosse stick crown crushed where his head had hit it on the way down. His jaw was already swelling. His perfect smile was red with blood. But worse than the physical damage was the look in his eyes. The realization that he had been beaten, publicly, devastatingly, by the girl he'd forced to crawl like a dog. "Find her," he slurred through his swollen jaw. "Find that bitch." But Madison Brooks had already disappeared into the maze of Preston High, leaving behind only questions, chaos, and a video that was about to change everything. Madison sat in the principal's office, hands folded calmly in her lap, while chaos erupted around her. Through the window, she could see news vans already gathering in the parking lot. Her phone, confiscated by security, buzzed non-stop on Principal Green's desk. 47 missed calls from her mom. She'd stopped counting the texts. 52 million views, Principal Green said, staring at his computer screen. "In 6 hours, 52 million people have watched you assault another student." 52 million people watched me defend myself, Madison corrected. "You broke his jaw. He had 2 friends holding my arms while he tried to punch me." Madison's voice stayed level. "What would you call that?" The door burst open. A man in a $1,000 suit stormed in, followed by 2 lawyers and Derek's mother, who looked like she'd been crying into her Botox. "That's her!" Mr. Thompson pointed at Madison. "That's the animal who attacked my son." Principal Green stood quickly. "Mr. Thompson, please. We're handling this according to protocol." "Protocol?" Thompson's voice could have shattered glass. "My son is in the hospital with a fractured jaw, and she's sitting here like nothing happened. I want her arrested, expelled. I want her family sued into oblivion." "Your son made me crawl on the floor like a dog," Madison said quietly. The room went silent. Thompson's face turned purple. "Excuse me. Your son made me crawl like a dog in front of 300 students." Madison looked him directly in the eyes. "Would you like to see the videos? Because there are about 1,000 different angles. Whatever happened before doesn't justify Mr. Thompson." A new voice from the doorway. Coach Martinez walked in, and Madison's heart sank. The one adult witness. And Derek owned him like everything else at Preston. "I saw the whole thing. This girl attacked Derek unprovoked. It was brutal." "That's not true," Madison said, but she knew it didn't matter. Coach's word against hers, adult against student. Lies backed by money against truth, with nothing behind it. "See," Thompson turned to Principal Green. "Your own staff saw it. I want charges pressed. Now." "There's a problem with that," another voice said. Skylar Mitchell stood in the doorway. phone in hand. Behind her, a crowd of students had gathered. I have the whole thing on live stream. 8 minutes of footage. Unedited. Young lady, this is a private 9.3 million views on my stream alone. Schuyler continued. And I've got DMs from CNN, Fox, NBC, and like 20 other news outlets wanting the raw footage. You sure you want to make this bigger? Mr. Thompson? She held up her phone, showing the live stream replay. There was Derek, clear as day, ordering Madison to crawl. The barking commands, the kicks, the hold, the attempted punch, and then, only then, the kick. That's edited, Coach Martinez stammered. It's live stream, Coach. Can't edit live. Schuyler smiled sweetly. But you know what's really interesting. I've got footage from Wednesday, too, and Tuesday, and Monday. Should I keep going? More students pushed into the office. Brandon Walsh was among them, looking uncomfortable. Brandon? Thompson grabbed his son's friend. Tell them what really happened. Brandon looked at Madison, then at his shoes. She's telling the truth. Mr. T. Derek made her crawl. We held her arms. He was going to hit her. You little... Thompson started toward Brandon, but Principal Green stepped between them. Enough. Everyone out except Madison and her parents. My mom's at work, Madison said. She can't leave her shift. Then we wait. No, Madison stood. You want to know what really happened, fine, but not in here. Out there. In front of everyone. In front of the cameras. Let's do this in the light. Thompson laughed. You think you can manipulate? I think your son has been torturing students for years, and you've been paying to cover it up. Madison said, I think Coach Martinez has been looking the other way because you donate to his program. I think this whole school is built on fear and money, and nobody says anything because speaking up means getting crushed. She walked to the door, past the crowd of students. But I'm already crushed. My family's already broken. We've got nothing left to lose. So yeah, let's talk to the cameras. Let's talk about the Dog Training Hall of Fame on Derek's Instagram. Let's talk about Sarah Chen, who transferred last year after Derek made her eat food off the floor. Let's talk about Marcus Williams, who dropped out after Brandon broke his arm accidentally in gym class. The hallway was packed now. Students were recording everything. Madison could feel the shift. The moment when prey realized they outnumbered predators. Shut up! Thompson's composure cracked. You don't know anything. I know you donated $300,000 to the athletic program last year. Madison continued. I know Derek's had 4 assault complaints disappear. I know... Enough! Principal Green's voice boomed. Madison, return to the office. Mr. Thompson, I think it's best if you... I'm not done, a small voice said. Everyone turned. A freshman girl stood at the back of the crowd, shaking but determined. Derek made me bark too. Last month. I have anxiety attacks now. Can't eat in the cafeteria. Me too. Another voice, a sophomore boy. Made me crawl for my inhaler while I was having an asthma attack. He poured milk on me, someone else said. Said I looked thirsty. Broke my phone when I wouldn't give him my homework. Made me kiss his shoes. Told me I was too ugly to walk the same hallways. One by one. Voices rose. Stories poured out. Years of humiliation and fear. Breaking free like a dam burst. Thompson backed against the wall. His lawyers whispering frantically. Coach Martinez tried to slip away, but found his path blocked by angry students. This is ridiculous, Thompson shouted. These are all lies jealous children making up, Mr. Thompson. A woman in a sheriff's uniform stepped through the crowd. I'm Deputy Chen, Sarah Chen's aunt. She looked at Madison. The one who transferred last year, she's my niece. She tried to kill herself after what your son did to her." The hallway went silent. "Now, we can handle this quietly," Deputy Chen continued. "Or we can handle it properly. Your choice." Madison's mom arrived 20 minutes later, still in her restaurant uniform, grease stains on her sleeves. She took one look at her daughter, surrounded by students and cameras and chaos, and pulled her into a fierce hug. "You okay, baby?" "Yeah, Mom, I'm okay." "I saw the video, the whole thing." Her mom's voice was thick with emotion. "Your daddy would be so proud, standing up for yourself, standing up for others." Principal Green cleared his throat. "Mrs. Brooks, we need to discuss what we need to discuss," her mom interrupted, "is how you let this go on for years. How you let rich boys torture poor kids while you counted donation checks. That's not— I've got 17 parents in a group chat right now." She held up her phone, all sharing stories about what Derek Thompson did to their kids. "You want to talk? Let's talk about lawsuits. Let's talk about the news crews outside. Let's talk about how Preston High became a hunting ground." By sunset, the story had exploded beyond anyone's control. Preston High scandal was trending globally. The video of Madison's kick had been remixed, analyzed, and memed thousands of times. Sports commentators broke down her technique. Self-defense instructors praised her restraint. Parents demanded investigations. Madison sat on the hood of her mom's ancient Honda, watching the circus from the parking lot. Skylar approached, hesitant. Hey. "I'm sorry," Skylar said, "for not helping sooner, for filming instead of—" "The filming helped," Madison interrupted. "Without it, I'd be in jail right now." Still, Skylar sat beside her. "I watched him hurt people for 2 years. We all did. We thought that's how things were. The strong eat the weak." "That's not strength," Madison said. "Strength is my dad working 3 jobs to keep us fed. Strength is my mom standing on her feet 12 hours straight to pay rent. Strength is all those kids finally speaking up." "Is it true you're getting expelled?" Madison shrugged. "Probably. Violence is violence, even in self-defense. That's how it always goes. That's bullshit. That's life." Madison watched a news reporter interviewing students. "But maybe it's different this time. Maybe something actually changes." Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer, then recognized the area code. Her old neighborhood. "Madison, this is Master Chen from the dojo." Her heart stopped. She hadn't heard from him since they couldn't pay anymore. "I saw the video," he continued. "Perfect form on that Mawashi Jerry. I always said you were my best student." "Thank you, Sensei. Listen, I've been talking to some people. The MMA gym downtown. They want to meet you. Full scholarship, training, competition. Everything covered. You interested?" Madison's eyes burned with sudden tears. Yes, sir." "Good. Come by tomorrow. And Madison, I'm proud of you. Not for the kick, for knowing when to use it." The call ended. Madison stared at her phone, then at her mom, who was arguing with 3 different reporters at once, then at the school where she'd been broken and reborn in a single week. "Everything okay?" Skylar asked. "Yeah," Madison said. "Everything's finally okay." Monday morning came with revelations. The school board held an emergency meeting. Derek Thompson was expelled. No amount of money able to wash away 52 million witnesses. Brandon Walsh and 6 other athletes were suspended, pending investigation. Coach Martinez was fired after more videos surfaced of him encouraging bullying, but the biggest change was in the hallways. Students walked differently, talked differently. The hunting ground had become neutral territory. The prey had remembered they had teeth. Madison cleaned out her locker, expecting expulsion despite the protests and petitions. Principal Green found her there. "The board voted," he said quietly. "Given the circumstances, the video evidence, and the extensive history that's come to light, you're not being expelled." Madison raised an eyebrow. "Seriously? Seriously. But there are conditions. Anger management classes, community service, and you have to help establish an anti-bullying program. Teach other students self-defense, but also when not to use it." "I can do that." "I know you can." He paused. "I'm sorry, Madison. I failed you. I failed all of you. I let money and politics turn this school into something ugly. That changes now." Madison nodded. Apologies were nice, but actions mattered more. The self-defense classes started the next week. 200 students signed up for the first session. Madison stood in the gym, looking at all those faces. Scared kids, angry kids, kids who'd been crawling for years. "First lesson," she said. "Fighting is the last option, not the first. Real strength isn't about hurting others. It's about protecting yourself and knowing you could hurt someone, but choosing not to unless you have no choice." "But what if they make us crawl?" a freshman asked. Madison smiled sadly. "Then you remember that crawling isn't weakness if it keeps you safe. But you also remember that nobody has the right to make you crawl. And if they try, if they push you to that breaking point where control means death, then you stand up, and you make sure they never forget it." She demonstrated basic stances, simple blocks, escape techniques. But more than the physical moves, she taught them to see, to recognize predators, to understand that bullies feed on fear and starve on confidence. "What happened to Derek?" someone asked during break. Madison had heard rumors. Private school applications rejected once the video surfaced. His father's business partners pulling out. The family name tainted. "He's learning," she said, "that actions have consequences, even for the rich, especially when 50 million people are watching." The weeks passed. The news crews left. The viral moment faded into internet history. But at Preston High, things had fundamentally changed. The hunter-prey dynamic was broken. Students looked out for each other. Teachers actually taught, instead of looking away. Madison still sat at the same corner table, but she wasn't alone anymore. Kids joined her, sharing their lunches, their stories, their strength. She trained at the MMA gym in the evenings, her new coaches amazed by her raw talent. "You could go pro," they told her. "You've got the skills, the discipline, the story. Sponsors would love you." Maybe. But Madison had learned something important. Victory wasn't about the knockout kick that made you famous. It was about the quiet kid who stopped hiding. The scared girl who found her voice. The broken boy who chose kindness over cruelty. One afternoon, she was walking to the bus when a familiar car pulled up. Not Derek, but Brandon Walsh. He'd lost weight during his suspension, his wrestler bulk deflating without daily practice. "Madison, wait," she stopped but stayed ready. Old habits. I need to say sorry, really sorry. Not just for that day, but for everything. All of it." "Okay. I'm transferring," he continued. My parents think it's best. Fresh start. But I wanted you to know what you did. It woke me up, made me realize I'd become someone I didn't recognize. Someone my little sister would be scared of. Madison studied him, saw genuine regret. People could change, sometimes. Good luck, Brandon. You too. And Madison, that kick was fucking legendary. She laughed, despite herself. Yeah, it kind of was. He drove away, another ghost of Preston High's dark era. Madison walked to her bus, where her usual crew was waiting. They made room for her, chattering about homework and weekend plans and normal teenage things. As the bus pulled away, Madison saw her reflection in the window. Same face that had arrived at Preston High. Same scarred knuckles. Same second-hand clothes. But something fundamental had changed. She'd been tested in the fire and come out steel. Her phone buzzed. A message from her dad, who'd finally found work at a warehouse 2 towns over. Saw a kid wearing a shirt with your kick on it today. My daughter, the legend. Love you. Warrior. Madison smiled. The kick seen around the world had lasted 3.7 seconds. But its impact would last forever. Not because of the violence, but because of what it represented. The moment when someone said enough. The moment when the powerless remembered they had power. The moment when one girl's refusal to stay down gave others permission to stand up. Good boys stay down. But good girls rise. And at Preston High, everyone was finally rising. The semester ended with Madison receiving an unexpected award at Assembly. The Phoenix Rising Award, newly created for students who showed exceptional courage in standing up for others, as she accepted it. The entire auditorium stood and applauded, not for the girl who threw the kick, but for the one who showed them they didn't have to crawl anymore. Later, cleaning out her locker for summer break, Madison found a note tucked behind her books. Anonymous. Simple. You saved my life. I was planning to end it all after what they did to me. Then I saw you stand up. Now I'm standing too. Thank you. Madison held the note against her chest and breathed deep. This was why she fought. This was her real victory. Retry Claude can make mistakes. Please double-check responses.